question. So the question was, how do I know which order is going to be? First off, they quite look different, but the other thing is on the test, it will be in the standard order. So I will do standard first, then vertex, then intercept. How I'm doing this review is going to be the same order as your test. Wednesday. The same order as standard, vertex, intercept.
How do you know when you're not switching it?
They look different. So, first one, the standard form. What we're going to do is we're going to find the axis of symmetry and the vertex. So I'm going to do negative b over 2a. Negative b over 2a tells me how I find the x of the vertex. You need to know that. So, and let me point out what a, b, and c is here. A, b, and c, which is 2, 4, negative 1. So I'm going to plug this in. Negative b, in this case was 4, over 2 times 2. Negative 4 over 4 is negative 1. So negative 1 is an x. I'll give you a review packet later, but this is not on the review packet. This is not a review. This is for your notebook.
Is the formula the same for all the sections?
No, each section has a different formula for the vertex, but then everything else is the same.
I'm saying like the y equals. No, that's different.
Yeah, it's right there on the right side of the board. You can see the different forms. Like those are the generic version on top. Okay, so I found negative 1 equals x. So negative 1 equals x tells me two answers actually. First one, it gives me the axis symmetry. It also gives me the x of the vertex. So I know the vertex, which should be a coordinate point, and the axis of symmetry is just the x. If you get them swapped, you're going to lose a point because they should be in the correct places. After I find the vertex, the x of the vertex, I take it and plug it into my equation. So 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 1. So this is going to be 2 minus 4 minus 1. Overall, that's going to be negative 5. Negative 3. Thank you. I don't know why I said negative 5. Negative 3. Negative 1 goes first. Negative 1 squared goes first. Exponent is before multiplication. So then, it is negative 3 is the y of my vertex. Okay? The y-intercept. Now, the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? That's where it hits the y-axis. Where is the y-axis? At x equals 0. So for every part of the test, y-intercept is x equals 0. Which means I'm going to take that. That's not the answer. I'm sorry. That's not. This is on the test.
You did the y-intercept and that's the intercept. You're gonna wait.
The x-intercept is not on the test. The y-intercept is. The y-intercept is when x equals 0. So now I'm going to take this x equals 0 and plug it into the equation. And I'm going to do that x equals 0 for every version. So the only thing that's actually unique per question, like per version, is the vertex. Everything else kind of stays the same.
Wait, so y-intercept is x equals 0 and then you plug it in?
So I plug that in. Now, what's good about the standard form is that 2, 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 1, this is 0, and this is 0. So your y-intercept is clearly negative 1. So your answer is negative 1. You could also write it as, another way you could write it, 0 comma negative 1, to be clear to yourself.
Can I just look on the calculator?
You could also check on your calculator, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be a clean whole number. The y-intercept could be a fraction. What's up? So how do you get the y-intercept? Is to plug in 0 for x. So how to do it is x equals 0. And what you result is the y-intercept. Now the domain. I got to fix this. Get a new pad. Yes. You have a calculator for the whole test, so you could use the calculator for this test. Yes. The domain is going to be all real numbers. All real numbers. Always is going to be all real numbers for this test. For different equations, we'll have different domains, but for the parabola, is always all real numbers. The range. The range is dependent on two things. The y is always consistent, but whether it opens up or down will be greater than or less than. In this case, the a value is positive. A positive a value means it's going to look upwards, like it's going to open like a V upwards. So in that case, it's going to be greater than. I have no clue what's wrong with my iPad. Is greater than or equal to. So y is greater than or equal to.
Yeah.
And then,
Was it used based off of y is greater?
yes, y is bigger because you're going above the
When it's
vertex.
like the upside down line.
Is less than.
What does it say for in?
Y is greater than or equal to, then it's going to be always the y value of my vertex. So it's always going to be -3 in this case because y is -3.
Could you re-explain how to like plug this up into the calculator for like?
I'm about to show that for the table.
Wait.
You have a question? Go ahead, ask your question while I set up. Oh, what's up?
Oh, the y-intercept?
The y-intercept?
X equals 0.
Oh, you just make the x is 0.
X equals 0, yes.
So
Like,
yeah,
in the
it's
equation, make that 0?
Yes.
everything,
So
all the
why is
x's
it
are
greater
0.
than -3?
Say that one more time.
Why is greater than -3?
Because once you put in the
It's greater than because it's upwards or A is positive. And it's -3 because the y value of the vertex is always the number you put in, which is -3. Now the table. I'm putting the table over here, but usually I have a vertical. Either way, in the table,
It was
guys, I'm trying to review. Please don't talk over me. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this case, in the table, you're always going to make 5 slots for the table, and the middle of your table shall always be your vertex. So -1, -3. I'm doing this sideways. I usually do it vertical. I don't care how you do it. Now, the table for the x values, you're going to do 2 smaller and 2 greater. So 2 smaller, -1, is -2 and -3, while 2 greater than -1 is 0 and 1. So I fill out my table like that. That's by hand. The rest, you could either use a calculator or plug it in each time. I'm going to show you how to do it in a calculator because I think that's wiser. So you take your calculator. You go to y equals. You're going to plug it in the equation as it is in the equation. So 2x is from second down right. So blue, this button right here that just turned red. Squared plus 4x minus 1. Let me just check that's the same thing. So you want to put your equation just as is, okay?
How do you go to the y equals?
Top left is y equals.
Graph and then second graph.
Now, if you graph, good, you're going to get the picture, which is useful. But second graph will give you the table, which is super useful because now you can not only take the points here. So notice, I remember, my vertex is supposed to be at -1. On the table, I can see -1 and 5 is -2 and 3 respectively. So -1 and 5. And I can see here, this is also -1 and 5 on the table. Or know that because it's symmetrical, it should match. Either.
After like it showed you like the graph, how did you get to like the number?
Second graph will get you table because it says table on top of the blue.
Okay.
No, because the range takes care of that. So the range like encompasses all that information, so I don't need it twice. Okay. So with that in mind, I have my table. What I can do.
How'd you get 5? Where did you get 5 here? Yeah. Oh, you put them in my Yeah.
-1, -3, so I put my point here. -2, -1. 0, -1. And actually, I already knew 0, -1 from the y-intercept. So I could have done it a little bit faster if I thought about that. And then 1, 5. And then 3, 5, -3, 5. And make your U shape. And I have to hold my pen weird because it's acting up lately, so sorry about that. So sloppy, but whatever. It's still a parabola just like that.
Sorry, where do the points come from? They come from
The points I got from the table.
Okay.
The important part, though, I know the center of my table in the black, right?
Yeah.
Is I know how that table looks like based off my vertex. So that's why I always say find your vertex first, then you can make your table. The blue is everything I took from the calculator.
So those dots are just
The points of the table. Yeah. So I'll leave this up for like a couple of seconds. If you have any questions, please ask me now.
So, like, if you're going to like about parabolas,
Yes.
are you supposed to draw a U shape and not a V shape?
Every day.
A U shape, U shape.
I never said that.
A V. I'm not gonna take points off as a V, but if you make some people like graph it wrong and they'll get a W shape and they'll be like, Mr. Tobel, I did something wrong, and I'm like, yeah, you did. Like, figure out what it is, okay?
I again like the table part for second graph. When I did graph, I like the practical it didn't look like that.
Let me see your calculator. Maybe you put it in wrong. Any other questions before I show the next one? Again, you're gonna get 2 of each version, so 2 standard, 2 vertex, 2 things. So first, I'm gonna do zoom and standard, option 6, just to make it 10 by 10. Okay, looks like a normal problem.
Oh, what if I forget to do that?
It should stay like that unless you change it again.
No, I'm saying the
If
Y
then
was-
tell me if you have a calculator error, I'm happy to help you with. And then second table should looks like it's the right
Yeah,
numbers.
I got that.
Okay.
So, but even if like for some reason like that's not working, if I have the numbers, I can just like graph it.
Yeah, exactly. The graph is not actually that important. It just helps you visualize. Yeah, that matches what I got in the calculator. Okay, next question. Is this the next one? Yes. Vertex form. Vertex form. Standard form, and all is right there if you want to check it out.
Nobody wanted it. Also, the
Wait, the first one was standard and
Standard,
and
yes.
this is still standard.
This is vertex form. And then you can check on the right over there if you need a refresher on the general stuff. That's fine. Okay, this is vertex form. Vertex form, based off its name, is really useful at finding the vertex. The vertex in this one,
first one standard.
standard. The vertex form, it is going to be the opposite of what's inside here, the H value, which in this case is 2, comma, the K value, that stays the same, 5. So your vertex is 2, comma 5. Benefit of the vertex form is you don't really have to do anything for the vertex. Good. The axis of symmetry is 2. You could technically write x equals 2. If you just wrote 2, that's fine. The y-intercept, I actually have to do the math, though. I'm going to take the y-intercept. Remember, to find the y-intercept, I do x equals 0. So y equals 0 minus 2 squared plus 5. You got to flip the sign in x. And it's because h is negative in the original equation. So you got to think, what did I plug in to keep it negative 2? I must have plugged in a positive 2.
Wait, is it the same thing as like negative b over 2a? Look at the axis.
No, the axis symmetry is just the x of the vertex. So, the vertex is this number flipped, comma this number. Vertex form is really easy to find the vertex.
No, the axis.
Yeah, it's just this number. It's whatever your x value of the vertex is. They should always match. If they don't match, you know you made a mistake.
Oh, it's the flipping one.
4 plus 5 equals 9. So the y-intercept is 9 or 0, comma 9. However you want to write it.
So wouldn't it be negative 5 and not positive 5?
No, only the h or the x of the vertex is flipped.
5.
Because in the original equation, it's minus h. So that's why it flips. Domain, all real numbers. The range, same process. Y is a positive 1, so it's upwards, is greater than or equal to. And then this is a positive 5. So 5. Or this is the y of the vertex 5. So notice, other than the vertex, everything else, all the steps are the same. All the steps are the same thing. Okay, take that along.
On a test for like the domain, can I just put ARL? No, ARN.
As long as I understand. Yeah, sure.
ARN, like R.
Sure.
You asked
What's up?
you asked me the domain.
The domain is always all reals. Yeah, you could always write all reals, the words, or some kind of truncated version of that. I don't care. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, same process. I'm putting the vertex in the middle, 2, comma 5. And I got 2 less, 1 and 0, and 2 more, 3 and 4. And again, instead of doing the hard work of plugging it in, checking the work, maybe I mess up, instead, what I'm going to do is take a calculator and plug in an equation. So I'll clear this, and I'm going to pick the equation as is. So x minus 2 squared plus 5. Go ahead. I could graph it just to make sure it looks like a parabola. It does look like a parabola. Second table, we want to find our center, 2 comma 5. So 2 comma 5 is down here. So let's fill in the rest of the spots. So this is going to be 2 comma 5. This is 6 and 6. And it was 9 and 9. And I actually knew 0 comma 9 already from the y-intercept. So again, sometimes you get a freebie along the way. So after you get the coordinate points, you just graph them. Go ahead.
Why is the y-intercept? Why?
The y-intercept is where it hits the y-axis. So the where it hits the y-axis at 0 comma 9. If you wrote just 9, you will still get full credit.
Oh no, but she like actually was like that was actually really good. Actually,
But Mr. Chol, there's gonna be 2 of each, and there's 3 of them.
2 of each. Yeah.
So that's just 6 questions.
6 questions. Yeah.
It's a test.
Yes. Well, a lot of people will finish fast, honestly. But technically, all of them have different pieces to it, so there's a lot of points inside that. And don't forget the last but not least. What kind of is the least? Nobody actually likes this form. Intercept form. The only thing, change this to let's change this to -2 because I have not given you a -1, so I want to make sure you get used to that. All right, last one, intercept form.
Is this all that's going to be on the test?
Yes, these are like a question from the test, but there's 6 in total, so 2 of each. Yes, Ethan.
Can you wait like 1 second? I'm just
I'm literally sitting here, yeah.
So would you say change what?
What's up?
Did you say you said change something?
If you didn't see the original problem, don't worry. But it's going to be -2. I wrote +2 originally. I haven't done a -1 yet, so I'm just changing this one to negative.
Wait, so we're changing the 2 to a positive?
No. Keep it negative. Keep it negative. I typed it really quickly, so I shouldn't have said anything. I should have just done it like a magician, like that. Intercept form. So the last one. We learned this Friday if you weren't here. But you were here.
oh yeah. But then look, and then she like. I don't want him.
We were here because you were talking about what we're going to name November and December.
What is this one called?
But
What is
this one, December. What's up?
What is this one called? She's like,
Intercept form.
What happened?
Wait, there was different names for each question?
It's up there if you want to know.
Wait, what is this one called? Intercept form.
I don't, what is,
Those are the 3 forms we learned.
like, we learned, like, the 3 things. Like,
Yes, this is the 3 things we learned, yes.
So this is just going over it, right?
Yes, this is a review, which I'm also recording, so you can check it out later if you need it.
Yeah. Hey, picture me. Discovered that 2 seconds ago when we were like dying about summer seating.
Okay, for this one, we're going to find the vertex. To find the vertex, we need P plus Q divided by 2. Now, these 2 numbers are P and Q. Now remember though, because the original version has a minus P and a minus Q, you have to flip the signs. So P in this case is -1, and Q in this case is +3. So when I plug this in, it's going to be -1 plus 3 over 2. -1 plus 3 over 2, 2 over 2, 1 equals the x of my vertex. So I know my axis of symmetry is 1, and I also know my vertex is 1 comma something. Now, what we're going to do is the vertex is 1 comma.
If it's -1 Wait, do you also flip it?
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Do you flip it also?
You do flip the P and the Q, yes.
I know. I have a question.
Yes.
In the vertex one,
Yeah.
if it's positive, do you still flip it? I define the other one.
The X, if it's positive, you do flip it. X, like if it was X plus 3, it would become negative 3. Minus 3, it would be positive 3.
So once you flip, you gotta flip it all.
You flip it once, if that's what you're asking, maybe. Okay. Talk to me after, and I'm happy to answer.
In that case, you have -2 multiplying to everything, so it's going to become negative.
That's fine, but when I plug it in, it will become negative. But my P and Q value is these flipped values.
So is the -1 the sum also?
-1 and positive 3, yeah. So, what I'm going to do is now plug this in to get my vertex, the y of the vertex. So y equals -2, 1 plus 1, 1 minus 3. -2 times 2 times 2. -2, my bad. So all this equals 8. So my vertex is 1, 8. You just find the x and then plug it in for the y. To find the x, you just take these two numbers, flip them, and then average them. Okay, y-intercept, same process. X equals 0. So -2, go ahead. 0 plus 1, 0 minus 3. -2 times 1 times -3. That seems to be a 6 at the end. So that's going to be 0, 6. The domain is all reals. The range, y, is going to be less than, in this case, or equal to 8.
Are we reviewing tomorrow?
You have PSAT, so if you have extra time, you won't see me. If you don't have extra time, you'll come in. So I'm not going to make the official review tomorrow because that'll be unfair to people who have extra time. So the official review is today. Tomorrow I'll be here for a review.
They can be on lunch Wednesday.
Yes.
What's the formula for this one?
P plus Q divided by 2.
And I mean for like the intercept formula. Like
It's all over there. If you need me to point it out, ask me after I finish
the
this.
second part say x minus q.
Yeah.
All right, make a table. X, Y. Our center, it will be 1, 8. We have 2 less, 0, -1, and 2 more, 2, 3. And again, you take your calculator and plug it in. Y equals, let's clear that. Remember, if you put negative, put the negative next to the enter or the equal sign, not -2, or it won't do it correctly. -2, x plus 1, x minus 3. Yep. Second table, or I guess graph first. Let's just show, hey, it looks like that. Second table, our vertex is 1, 8. Our other 2 points is 6 and 6. We'll do that in blue to indicate I got that from the calculator. And then here is 0, 0. So then 1, 8, 0, 6, 2, 6, -1, 0, 4, 0, or 3, 0, my bad. Horrible looking parabola, but it works just fine. And that's your review for the test. Hope this helps. Sure, let me just end the recording.